Hello, welcome back. This is Adjectives Part 2. Hopefully by now you've already seen Adjectives Part 1. There's another problem that I've noticed with adjectives, and this is when people often will just add certain modifying, or should we say intensifying adverbs before an adjective to give the impression that they actually have a wider range of vocabulary. In fact, that is not the case. What do I mean? Well, let's look at an example with weather. Now, on a very basic level, if you have one person comparing about weather, they might say, okay, the first place is hot and the second place is cold. That is my comparison. Okay, that's a clear comparison. Again, the words hot and cold are fairly basic and would be what we looked at last time. Again, use those words, but try not to only use those words. Now, some people think that they're going to be cleverer here and they're going to compare two places like this. They say, well, place A is very hot while place B is quite hot. And they think that actually gives two different answers. It doesn't. You've used the same adjective twice there, and all you've done is you've added two adverbs on there, very and quite. That doesn't show me at all that you have a wider range of vocabulary. Not at all. Because those words could be used for other adjectives. It could be used for very hot, very cold, quite cold, very hungry, quite hungry, very tired, quite tired, and so on. That also applies to others when you say it's super hot or really hot. Same idea. You know, it's not really giving me any more information, and you're just putting the same adjective and you're just putting an adverb in front of it. No, that doesn't really show me you have the wider range of vocabulary. And another problem with this is if you're writing an essay, for example, and you have a maximum word count, if you keep using very hot, or very cold, or quite hot, you're adding words each time, which is going to be a bit more pressure for you. Now, if you could express very hot or quite hot, very tired, quite tired, in one word, you would sound more accurate, you would sound much more original, and you are also helping your word count. How do we do that? Let's start looking at that right now. So instead of just saying very tired and quite tired, here are some other ways of doing that. So starting with very tired, there are a number of words that you can use here. The first group are the most important ones, words like exhausted and shattered. On the second group, there are some that are a little bit slang or colloquial, so do be careful about using those, but some are very good, like shot and spent. Now, for quite tired, one thing you'll notice when we're looking at adjectives is that there are generally fewer possibilities for the milder form of the verb, the quite rather than the very form. Nevertheless, there are still some very useful ones you can use here, like sleepy and dozy. Now it's your turn, and I'd like you to think of words for very and quite to describe the following two adjectives, and they are rich and poor. You'll find some answers and suggestions at the end of this episode. So the points that we've looked at so far are very general and can be used for general conversation, for business purposes, for IELTS exams, and for any other examinations. The next section is going to look at things that are specifically for certain examinations like TOEIC and TOEFL. Now finally, another advantage of a wider range of adjectives is for those who are doing examinations where you need to have a knowledge of synonyms. Here they're not going to just use very or quite when they are talking about a related word. They're going to use a different word. So by widening your range of adjectives, you are better prepared for the examination. As you can see from the text here, the words that are used in the questions are not the same words that are in the text. And you have a big text in the examination, and you very quickly have to try and find the answer in that text. So, for example, here with question 1, you're looking at how does the population feel? Frustrated, unhappy, disappointed, confused. If we look up, we can find magically the word bewilderment. Bewilderment with population. Okay, what does that mean? A, B, C, or D? That's right, it means to be confused. And same with the second one, how did the John Dale feel? Again, you look in the text and, oh, greatly concerned. Would that mean very surprised, very upset, very worried, or very angry? And of course, concerned means, if you look at the context, that it must be worried. Right, before revealing the responses for the rich and poor, just one other thing I wanted to look at, which is about idioms, something that maybe people tend to overlook or don't spend too much time on. Now, I did mention before about reducing your word count for essays, but for general speaking and for things like the IELTS test, having a grasp of idioms to be able to describe your feelings and emotions is a great tool and is very, very natural and will get you the highest scores. Don't overuse them, but certainly give it a little appreciation, and an appropriate use of idioms can certainly elevate your language level and also probably your IELTS score. So we have here some examples of idioms. You can see here idioms relating to 4 different adjectives. You may be able to guess what they relate to just from the words. But just having a look at these. So the first 2, over the moon, on cloud 9, which you may have heard from songs or seen in movies, in titles of movies, TV shows. Those both mean happy. Down in the mouth and dumps, or to feel blue. Both of those mean to be sad. To have the Midas touch, or be born under a lucky star. Well, it's in the answer there, is to be lucky. Be down on your luck, or to be jinxed, is relating to bad luck. So these are just some examples, but you can think of many other adjectives and you will be able to find some idioms relating to those. And that's something we'll probably look at in some future classes. And finally, we have here the examples of other words for very rich, very poor, quite rich and quite poor. As you'll see again here, there are a number of idioms that have been used. They're quite a wide range here. Probably a lot of them are not too common, but it just gives you an idea of the range of alternatives that you can use instead of always using very and quite. And finally, it's over to you. For the following 4 adjectives, I'd like you to think of some alternatives for very and quite for each. They may be idioms or they could be direct synonyms, and you could leave some examples below. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.